Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel. Thanks for all your support in general. And I wanted to do this video because a couple years ago I did a review about a Lasr system that I still use today, and it's a remarkable system. But I stumbled upon this new Lasr system just a week ago or so, and I think it really elevates the game significantly when it comes to Lasr software. The company is called Shooter Technology Group, and they've developed this new app. It's an online app called Lasr, Light Activated Shot Reporter. And like I say, it really elevates the game. It can turn any room in your home into a virtual shooting range. Now, my understanding is that when they initially launched the product, it was only compatible with the Windows platform. So recently, I believe earlier this year, they rolled out a new version of the software, and it is compatible, I believe, with Android, but definitely with iOS. When I determined that it was compatible with iPhones and iPads, I decided to check it out, and I tried the initial subscription model. It was, I believe, with $9.95 a month. Tried it out a few times and immediately jumped on the other option they have, which is $120 for a lifetime subscription. Basically, you're subscribing to the app online, so you have to go to the app online. There's no download, but yeah, I jumped on it within a day. So literally, all you need to transform any environment, whether indoors or outdoors, into a virtual gun range is an iPhone, an iPad, and any type of laser emitting firearm or a training firearm, SIRT pistol, or if you have a laser insert or laser cartridge that you can insert into the chamber of your actual firearm. Or I'm going to be using, for the purposes of this demonstration, I'll be using a laser light pistol. It's not an actual pistol, it's a blue gun, and it fires a laser when the trigger is pressed. Also, I've placed two IDPA targets roughly 10 feet away from my standing position, 10 feet being the minimum that the NRA requires in terms of distance for a student to pass the range qualifying portion of the NRA basic pistol course. Also, they're only 10 feet away because that's all the space that I have. But again, I'm going to show you how it doesn't require much room at all to make this system work. I have the contents, or the image of the iPad feeding out into another recorder that you can't see, it's off camera. But you could do this in a classroom or in anywhere. You could feed out of your iPad into a huge monitor so that your students can see, everyone can see what each person is doing. Or it just makes it for a larger viewing experience other than the iPad. The iPad then becomes like a control center, but your audience can be looking at a huge monitor. Only thing about that is you just have to make sure once you connect an HDMI cable, your sound is going to come out of whatever you feed the HDMI cable into, whatever source you feed the image into. So you have to have an external speaker, or that device has to have, that monitor has to have a speaker that you have to increase the volume so people can hear. So let's get right into it. So here we have the splash page for the Shooters Technology Group. We have the Lasr system set up, beautiful layout. I'm going to scroll. You have some videos that show you right up front how it works to give you kind of a basic overview. And here I want to show you this. This is the previous version they had available, the Lasr Classic on the left, and on the right is the Lasr X. This is the one I bought, and as you can see, a one-time payment of $120 for lifetime, and you get all the features and all the updates. And you can scroll down and see all the things that it has to offer. Once you decide which version you want to buy, and I recommend you buy Lasr X, what you need to do to access the software is you come to the website, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and you want to hit right here where it says Access Lasr X. I'm going to tap that. All right, so now we've come to the next page. It gives you a video about the basic usage and best practices. Okay, so you can check that out on your own. I'm going to come down here. You have a do not show again. I'm not going to tap that because I always, some things you might forget. So I always want to be brought to this page, but I'm going to hit done. And now I am into the app. So we're going to be using the rear facing camera on the iPad. So I'm going to hit allow. It's asking me would laserapp.com would like to access the camera. I'm going to tap allow. And now we see we have the camera set up. I can select camera 1 or camera 2. I'm going to select camera 1. I'm on the most recent iPad or iPad Air, so I'm going to go with higher performance devices only. And we're going to refresh the camera list. As you see, it says back camera. All right, great. So now I'm going to tap on the screen here. And there you have it. I have full camera access, and I have them pointed at my IDPA targets. Now I'm going to adjust this slightly. Not that it matters, but okay. So let's get into it. You see the interface here. We have setup and we have shooting on the right-hand side. Right now we're in the setup mode, which is why setup is highlighted in orange. Like I say, I have 2 IDPA targets I just taped on the wall. I could put any type of target up that I want. I could put up a silhouette target, a paper target of the cartoon bad guys or whatnot. I just chose the 2 targets. I could put up as many as I want. So what I want to do now is I want to select certain areas that are hotspots where I will actually be aiming for on the 2 targets. So what we need to do is we need to come up to the left-hand side of the screen and tap the gear wheel, and we get all of our setup options. All right, so the first one we see is the shot timer. So we're going to tap that. All right, so let's go through real quickly. Timer display is automatic. We have timesheet or simple. It is going to select timesheet for me. What that means is once we get to the shooting setup, you will see on the upper right-hand side a window where all of your shots will be logged and reported. It'll report your split times. It'll report which target you were aiming at, which target was selected, so on and so forth. So because I'm on an iPad, which has a larger screen, it will automatically select timesheet. If I were to select simple, it would only log 1 report or 1 shot at a time, whereas in timesheet, it will do all of my shots on a screen that has all of them at once. The reason you want to hit simple is if you're using an iPhone and the screen is a little bit smaller and it would be impossible to read multiple hits on that screen. You'll see what I'm talking about in a few minutes. So we're going to go back to automatic, and because it's an automatic, it will automatically select timesheet for me because it knows I'm on an iPad. Okay, prep command. This is really cool. There is a sound module in the app. I don't know if that's the right term, sound module, but you can select prep command, and you will get a vocal notification of for ready status, shooter status. It'll give you a command. Is the shooter ready? I have it selected for is the shooter ready? Stand by. All right. Start delay. What that is whether or not you selected a prep command, doesn't matter. Once the system is engaged for you to begin shooting, you can program how much time there is between the time the system says that it's ready to shoot and when you're expected to make your first shot. So it's like if you use one of those club packed timers, it's like setting the delay before you hear the beep, which notifies you that you are to commence shooting. So I have it set to between 2 and 3 seconds. I could change it to between, let's see here, I could change it to, I don't know, 5 and 10 seconds if I chose. All right. I think that's a little bit long, but I just wanted to show you how it works. If you tap in the field where the number is, the iPad keyboard will, a virtual keyboard will spring up and you can make your changes there. I'm going to set it back to between 2 and 3 seconds. Okay, call targets. Basically, the voice module or the sound module, if you have the call target selected, the voice module will shout out the number of the target that it wants you to hit. And you'll see why that's really such a cool feature. Visual start, let's say you decide you don't want a prep command and you don't want a vocal prep command. So if you select visual start, basically the screen will flash white, I believe it is, and then that's your cue to start shooting. I prefer the prep command. I don't use the visual start. I haven't seen a need for it just yet. Maybe I will in the future, but I prefer to keep that off. Recalibrate before start. Each time you set up the iPad on your targets and you go to the shooting mode, it will calibrate for the lighting environment, all right? So you can set this so that it will recalibrate automatically before each start. I don't use that. I might find a need for that in the future. Par time, just like with the timers, the packed timers that we use, you can set that, which will give you a defined time limitation for you to engage whatever drill you're working. Auto restart, I found this a little tricky getting the understanding of this, but basically what this does for you is that you can set this thing so that each time you go through a drill or through, let's say, a rep, it will basically restart so you can do the second rep, third rep, fourth rep. So you don't have to tap the button to start it each time. So right now I have it set to restart for 5 times. If you want to change that, you basically tap on the field just like you did up here for the start delay, and you can change the number of times. I have it set for 5. Now, restart when. Basically this, you're setting the conditions under which you want the rep to restart after you've completed. You can set it to restart when a certain time limit is reached, okay? And it will stop and then restart, okay? Down here, we have between X and X seconds. So I have it set for 20 seconds. I want it to be a total of 20 seconds, but you can make it variable by changing the second value to a higher number than the first value. So let's say I want it between 20 and 30 seconds. I would just tap on that and change the 2 to a 3. The reason I have it set for such a long interval of time is because I was practicing with it, just playing around with it, because I intend to use it with some of my new students who have never shot before or have only shot a short amount of time. And there are drills on here where you can program it to time you, how long it takes you to get off a shot, change your magazine, get back on target. There are drills where you can have your students load a magazine, rack the slide, and get on target. So I put such a long interval because they're not used to that or may not be used to that. And I wanted them to get comfortable with enough time to possibly even analyze what they're doing before the system restarts. So 20 seconds is a long time, and for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to reset it to 5 seconds. So to make it a solid 5 seconds, I have to change it to 5 in both these fields, okay? And one of the little nitpicky things is, and this is a part of the iPad, not the software, but you want it, when you tap it to get that field up, to get the keyboard to come up, tap it on the right side of the number so you can delete the number, because it's going to be obscured when the keypad comes up. So tap it on the right side of the number. So now between 5 and 5 seconds. Now we're going to move to the hit indicator. And so the hit indicator, basically what's going to happen is you will see visually on the screen points that indicate where you hit on the target. You can change the color of those hits by tapping the field under hit color. And now you have all of these options. I went with red. We also have hit sound. The app has all of these cool sounds that you can use to indicate that you hit audibly, right? So you have 3 versions of a gunshot. You have metal impact. If you like hitting steel, I haven't tried that yet. You have beeps, hits, miss. I haven't tried that. I don't know if that means it says hit or miss, but you have all these options to play with. Now we have backdrop hit sound. I'm going to explain what a backdrop is, but just know that you can change that sound as well. And backdrop hit color, you can change the color of the backdrop hits. If you hit on a backdrop, you can change the color just by tapping this field as well. I haven't played around too much with these other items here. The only one I'm familiar with is the camera. We already went through that. This is what allows you to set up either your back camera or your front camera. I'm not sure why anyone would ever want to use the front camera. There may be a good reason, but using the front camera, obviously the front camera being on the front of the iPad, it means I would have to swivel this in the opposite direction. But being that I don't want to, that I have to make contact with the screen with my finger occasionally, that means I would have to be standing on this side of the field, or what I would consider to be stepping over the ready line. So that means I would have to literally walk over and touch the screen like this, and that just gets to be a little bit cumbersome. I would always have it like this, so not sure why you would use the front camera, but at any rate, you have that option. Diagnostics, I haven't really played around with that. I believe it has to do with some of the other drills. It'll give you your shot progression, how well you held the firearm, where the muzzle was upon impact, and how good your follow through was. I believe that's what that is. I'm not sure. Reload and malfunctions. I assume that if you have these engaged, the software in certain functions will automatically just shout out reload. And that's kind of like a surprise mechanism to see if you can how well your reaction is to having to reload or having to address a malfunction. Not positive, I have not tried it. But moving on, we have networking, which is a very cool feature. I haven't played with it yet, but I do plan to use this. For another $40, you can network multiple iPads down the line. So I can have someone standing here, working. I have a student standing here. I can have another iPad over there and a student standing over there. It could go all the way down the line. So you literally could set up a virtual gun range with multiple lanes. Preferences. Basically, you saw when I activated startup hints, the black screen came up from the bottom. So it's just a navigation tool or a informative tool which gives you hints, and you can tap on certain question marks and it will tell you what a certain button does or what a certain outcome will be if you tap a certain field. That's pretty much the setup in a nutshell. Basically, again, all you're probably going to be dealing with right off the top of the shot timer and the hit indicator. I'm going to hit this arrow here at the upper left. And now we're back into the regular screen. I'm going to tap this off. Okay, so now we have our screen back up. Okay, let's move over to the far right side of the screen. As you can see here, we have a little box with a rectangle. What that field is basically that determines how you draw your hit zones on your target. All right, so let me show you. I'm going to tap here and I have rectangle, ellipse. I have a lot of different versions of targeting or target zones. Okay, I typically use rectangle and ellipse, and I've only been using this for maybe 4 or 5 days now, but I use rectangle and ellipse. So let me show you how that works. Right now I have rectangle selected. So what I want to do is I want to create 4 hit zones on these 2 IDPA targets. So I want to create a hit zone on the head, chest area, and head and chest area. So what we do, we have rectangle selected. I'm going to place my finger on the screen, tap and hold, and I'm creating a field, as you can see there. All right, so that's my field there, right? So I've created this rectangle here. Now what I want to do is finesse it a little bit. I can do that by grabbing any of these handles. See these large red squares? They're handles. I can expand it, contract it. So what I'm going to do is, as best I can, try to make a hit zone right on the head, okay? I can now go into, down on the bottom right, it says Precision Edit. I can tap that. This is like the finessing tools. You have the move function where I can tap the arrow to the right, and as you can see, it's moving to the right. I want to move it back to the left. I can do that up or down, right? I can rotate it if I so desire. You can see it rotating there. If you tap and hold, it will continue to rotate. Now I want to have it go straight back up. Now, you know what would be nice? This is not a complaint. What would be nice if you just had an undo so that you could immediately go back to what you initially started, right? Or what you initially had set up. Now, you see how the bottom of my hit zone is a little below the head. So if I try to do that with the handles, I might create another hit zone if I touch the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit resize, and I'm going to hit the minus and make it smaller. Check that out. Now here's another option. I'm going to hit done, right? Now, see this zoom level here at 100%? I can tap on that and I can increase it to 200%. Not 2,000, 200. There we go. Now, it automatically went into pan. See that? So now I can scroll up. I now have a bigger field to work with, so I'm not going to clumsily create another hit zone in a smaller area on a smaller zoom. See? So now it's larger. I have more room to manipulate my target. Now that I've zoomed in, I'm going to hit clear all. It got rid of that hit zone. Now I'm going to try it again, zoomed in, and let's see if I can do it a little bit better. And there we have the first hit zone, okay? So now I want to create my next hit zone. And instead of making it a square, I want to stay true to the IDPA target. I don't know if you can tell, there's a circular indent or perforation. So I'm going to use an ellipse. And I'm going to again touch. And you see it creates an ellipse. I can use these handles, these large squares along the edge as my key handles or Bezier tools or whatever you want to call them. And I can move this approximately to where I believe center mass would be. Right there, okay. Now, as you notice, each time I create a hit zone, it numbers that target. So this was the second one I created, so it came up as target number 2. If I go back, it highlights target number 1, right? Amazing, okay? So now I want to move over to the next one. I want to go back to pan, and it pans, dragging my hit zones with it. Unbelievable. So now I want to go and tap this again, go back to rectangle and create another hit zone. Right there, boom. So I just created the third hit zone, and I'm going to hit ellipse, and I'm going to create my last hit zone. Cool. One other thing that would be cool is if you could do a copy paste. So like I could just somehow copy this one, tap here, and maybe the paste like on your iPhone or whatnot. That would be cool. But again, no complaints here. So I have created 4 targets. All right. Now what I want to do is create backdrops. Now what are backdrops? Well, backdrops basically are hit zones that you create that you use to let you know when you hit outside of the target. Now you don't have to create them, but if you want to hear an audible indication that you did miss your target and you hit into a backdrop zone, that's a way to create an audible tone to let you know that you did miss your hit zone, your intended hit zone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the field up here, and I'm going to go to backdrop, and I'm going to create a backdrop behind hit zone number 2. You see they have these numbers. Each of the hit zones has a numerical representation on the screen. You can't see them all because they're hidden by some of these items on the screen as well. Target number 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so I want to go to target number 2 and create a backdrop. So what I want to do is I want to move this over a little bit. So I got to hit this, go back to pan. Now I can pan, and now I have some space to work with. So I'm going to create a backdrop over the rest of the IDPA target. All right, so we go to backdrop, and we draw another hit zone. Okay, that's good enough, right? So basically, if I hit in this area, outside of this area, it's going to give me an audible warning, and I'm going to set it to have a different sound to let me know that I missed my intended hit zone. Now, I'm not going to do backdrops for the head because if you miss, you miss, and I'm not going to put a backdrop on the wall, all right? All right, so let's go back to pan. I'm going to move over here and create my second backdrop. All right, good enough. And so now I'm going to hit pan again. Make sure you hit pan before you touch the screen because you will accidentally create a new hit zone. So I'm going to go back to the center, right? Now, let's say for whatever reason, let's say I finished the drill where I'm using these targets and I want to just start from scratch. I can simply hit clear all. It will get rid of all of these hit zones. If I go back to the main screen, right? If I want to select a particular hit zone that I don't want to be there anymore, I can scroll through and just hit delete individually. So if I wanted to get rid of target number 4, I would select target number 4 by tapping to it and then hit delete. All right. So I'm all good to go, I believe. Well, first I'm going to zoom out slightly because I want to be able to see a little bit better in terms of perspective. And you should know when you zoom in, it does not, depending on your camera, resolution will get a little wonky, but good enough for me, right? But I'm going to go down to 150. All right. Now I'm going to pan. And so now you can see the zoom level comes in pretty handy because when I had it at 100%, I was seeing a lot of the ceiling and everything. Now I've zoomed in and I have a clear vision of my targets. This comes in very handy in a small space. Now we're ready to get started with the shooting portion. So we're going to move over to shooting on the upper right. We tap that. And now what it's doing, as it says on screen, is it's locking targets. Then after that, it'll calibrate. It's calibrating for lighting. And now you see that all of my hot zones have become blue on screen. That was when if you recall back in the setup, I'm able to change those colors as I see fit. Blue is fine for me. All right. And now you also see in the upper right-hand corner, I have my timesheet. Remember I showed you how you could set that for either timesheet or single. Because I'm on an iPad and I have a slightly larger screen, I have it at timesheet. I set it to automatic and it knew I was on an iPad, so it gave me the larger screen. If I were using an iPhone, I might want to select single because the screen is so much smaller. I would only be able to see probably one shot at a time. Okay. I changed the between times from 5 seconds to 2 seconds because during that first dry run before I started recording, I had it set to 5 seconds. It was just taking too long. For this demo, I just wanted to be a flat 2 seconds, so I made both of them. I selected 2 for both fields. All right, so let's get to shooting. It's locking on targets. The camera is locking onto the targets. Then it's going to calibrate for lighting. And what that's doing is making sure that lighting is even. If you go back to the setup portion and you go to the shot timer or hit indicator or that menu, each time you go back to shooting, it will recalibrate in case lighting has changed. If you're shooting outside using this system, let's say the sun goes behind the cloud, you might have to recalibrate. And if you have those indicators at the beginning, remember I showed you the things that you want to have turned on with tips and help, a window will pop up saying, looks like your lighting has changed. We need to recalibrate. So it'll give you an indication that it needs to recalibrate. But for now, it looks like we're all set. So now all I have to do is hit start shooting and we're off to the races. So let's check this out.
Is the shooter ready? Stand by. 2. Is the shooter ready? Stand by. 3. Is the shooter ready? Stand by. 2. Is the shooter ready? Stand by. 3. Is the shooter ready? Stand by. 4.
Okay, so remember I set it for 5 auto starts. So there were 5 calls. And let's go check out the iPad here. So we have 5 shots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see all of the calls, all 5 calls for what target or what hit zone it called for. So the first one, it called for target 2, which is right here. And I can select that hit. And I came in at 1.73 seconds. So I can see that it took me 1.73 seconds to come from high ready. I was in high ready to hitting the target, okay? So we're highlighting, we can highlight as we go. And as we highlight, notice that each of the hits on the window are changing color to orange. So you can tell which hit you're highlighting. And now I can also come down here to this area here, and it gives me like a magnification of the hit zone of the target up here. So we now have, let's go to the last call, which was for target number 4. Okay, so it lights up there, right? It turns orange, and I can see right here how far off dead center I was. You can see a little squiggly line in there. Let's find another hit that maybe, yeah, okay, that's much better. You see that little line there? I believe what that's showing me is when I press the trigger and the laser emits from the muzzle, how much my muzzle is moving during that break. Shows me how much movement was on my muzzle, so that's something I can train, becoming more steady with that. All right, so again, a great tool to show you or to set up and get some training in the comfort of your own home. Now let's say I want to do some shooting where I just want to transition from target to target. I don't want to come back and have the prep command, am I ready? I just wanted to call out the target and I just want to go and get on that target as fast as possible. Well, all we have to do for that is we go back to the setup, shot timer, and we shut off the prep command, okay? So now what's going to happen is it's going to give me a start delay for 2 to 3 seconds, right? That's from the initial shot, okay? And it will then just call out targets, and every 2 seconds it will call out a target, and it'll do that 5 times, okay? Because I have restart 5 times set, and I have between 2 and 2 seconds set restart when time is reached. Yeah, so each time you go back to the setup and you go back to shooting, it's going to lock targets and calibrate. So I just edited all that out. So right now I want to clear off all of these hits right here. So all I need to do is hit clear, and then we're ready to go afresh, right? Okay. Now all I have to do is hit start shooting, and it's just going to call out targets immediately every 2 seconds. So I hit start shooting.
4, 2, 3, 3, 4.
Okay, now if you remember, I had set up drop zones, and I haven't demonstrated those yet. So now we're going to clear this out, and I'm going to show you how the drop zones work, okay? So let's do another round, and I'm going to purposefully miss my target and hit into the drop zone for some of them, okay?
3, 1, 4, 1, 4.
Okay, a couple things happened here. So you see I hit outside of the targeted area, and I hit into the backdrop that I created. And you heard the differing beep. I programmed it so that it gave me a different beep depending on the backdrop area, okay? And the hits there came out as black impacts as opposed to the other impacts. Particularly working with students, I definitely would use backdrop so they can see, well, you hit so far out of the intended zone, and so we need to work on why you're maybe anticipating or jerking the trigger, whatever. And again, all of the hits, even the hits on the backdrops, will show up when I tap on them. Now, this here is an indicator that the call was for me to shoot at target 1, and I actually shot at target 2. So I hit the wrong target, hence the red triangle there. So I hit something that I wasn't supposed to, which is a no-no. Now, with the 2 drills that I just showed you, one issue is that I'm not really getting a true measure of my split time. I'm not really getting a true split because I'm still waiting for the target to be called. So it's not really a fair assessment of how fast I'm getting back on target because I have to wait for the target to be called. Or in the first drill, I had to wait for shooter ready. Are you ready? So all that eats up time in between shots. So the way to work around that is we go back to setup, shot timer, no prep command, and we don't want it to call targets, and we don't want an auto restart, okay? So now, basically, I'm gonna hit I'll go back to shooting, I'll hit start shooting. I'll just wait to hear the beep. There'll be a visual white flash, and that is my indication to just start shooting at my heart's content as fast as I want to. So let's check that out. All right, so we're all locked and loaded. We're calibrated. I want to get rid of my previous hits, so I hit clear, and let's get ready. I'm going to hit start shooting. Now the only indication again is going to be a white flash, which I probably won't see, but I will hear the beep because I remember I programmed it to start off with a beep. So let's hit start shooting. There'll be a 2 to 3 second delay. Now, since there was no limitation in between the shots, there was no prep command, there was no calling of targets, I have a better idea as to what my split times are. So let's go take a look. So here, the first shot, I got it off at 1.16 seconds, and I hit target number 2, okay? Let's see. Then my second shot, I got it at a total of 1.89 seconds with a split time of 0.73, and I hit target 4. Let's see, so total time 1.89. So it collates all of this data, and it's just amazing. So I can select each shot. Let's say I missed a shot, I was really low. I'm like, okay, that was my last shot. Was I just fatigued? Was I tired? Okay, I can highlight it. I can see, I was pretty much dead on with the last shot here. Shot number 9, right there, all right? There's no recoil on this firearm, this blue gun. There's no recoil when you use your own firearm with a laser insert. They do sell airsoft guns or CO2 guns that mimic recoil, but you have to get a whole other little pricey setup. So I'm just using this. So again, I have to understand that these split times still aren't that accurate because I'm not getting a true sense of the recoil and getting back on my sights. But it's still a good tool to get a foundational kind of understanding of where I am in targeting and follow through and getting my sight alignment and sight picture relatively accurately. So you've seen how each time I wanted to start a drill, I had to go over to the iPad, I had to hit start shooting, right? And it would repeat 5 times because I have the auto restart set for 5 intervals, okay? Or 5 reps. Well, after the 5 reps are done, I don't want to have to go back, clear everything out, and hit start shooting again. I want to stay in my position, right? Just gets tiresome. Well, not in this situation, obviously, but let's say you're in a big room, you got students, you just want to be able to start right away, okay? This is a cool feature of the Lasr app. So I'm back in setup, right? So I'm going to go over here to the upper right, and where I have my hit zone field, where I can create my hit zones and backdrops, I want to tap on that, and I'm going to come down to remote control. I'm going to create a zone, a huge zone right in here, okay? All right? Now, what does that say? It says start shooting. Now, all I have to do when I want to go into another drill or another rep, all I have to do is point my laser at that zone, fire, the laser hits there, and it starts up. Let's see that in action. So I'm going to go back to shooting. And again, I edited out all of the calibration. It only took about maybe 10 seconds. But now, okay, I want to clear out all of my previous shots, okay? I'm just going to aim my firearm right at the area that I created the start shooting zone. Watch what happens. All right. And now I didn't have to go over and hit start shooting. All I had to do was fire at the shooting zone and it starts for me. Now, what makes this really great is if I had created, now I'm in the drill still where I did not have it auto restart. It just stops when I stop. But if I had auto restart set and then it went through, I think I had it set for 5, and it went through all 5 and it just would have come to an end, I would have hit start shooting and it would have reset and started another 5 reps for me. Awesome. And now if you see here, I have replay. I'm going to tap replay. It says replaying in the upper left, and now it's showing me all my hits subsequently, right? The whole sequence of my hits, it'll replay. And it shows you real time what your hits are. But this is another excellent feature you can use to show yourself how fast you are, how your accuracy is. Just, it's just awesome. Okay, so that shows you just some of the basics as to what you can do with this app, this online app. And I think it's incredible. So we're gonna tap on this icon right here, and it's gonna open what's called challenges. And basically what we have here are some native drills within the app that you can work to train certain aspects of your shooting. So let's take a look here. We've got single shot pistol craft, which is pretty, I believe that's pretty much similar to what I've been doing with the actual targets and creating my own zones. But you've also got concealed holster draws, duty open holster draws, which I assume means open carry, which I don't recommend, by the way. But we've got stoppages, and we have all of these different drills that are native to the app. As I scroll up, you see all these drills that you can go from, right? That you can go through. From concealed holster draws, we have that option. Draw from concealed, where you have accuracy, speed, balance. So it's giving you different techniques, different things to think about. Look at all these things you could do here. Draw from seated, draw from surrender, draw and move off the target, off X, draw from supine, laying on the ground, run, stop, and draw, strong hand only draw, support hand only draw. So you're getting into single-handed targeting, right? We look at duty open holster draw, right? Draw from outside the waistband holster, draw from seated, draw from surrender. So we're repeating some of those things, but now we've added the holster into it. We've got concealed holster draw, right? There you have it, draw from concealed, right? Same thing, all these drills that you can go through. Now we have stoppages, all right. Emergency reload. So this is timing you. It's a drill that's gonna time how fast you can get your spent magazine out. Or actually, if it's an emergency reload, it might call for reload, even though you still have rounds in your magazine, but you need to drop it for whatever reason, slam another mag in, and get back on the target. I'm just going to run through the concealed holster draws because I'm a concealed carrier, so that's some training that I would want to use. So given that this is a concealed carry drill, I don't want to use the blue gun. I want to use the gun that I actually carry, which is the Sig Legion 229. I have it holstered here. We're going to do a check. There's no magazine in the grip, and as best as you can tell, as best you can see, there is no round in the chamber, so we are clear. Now, with this particular firearm, every time you rack the slide, it cocks the hammer. Since it's not a live gun, the gun is not hot, I'm going to decock it each time I rack the slide, right? I want to decock it so that it's in the condition that it will be when I'm carrying it, when I have to first present it. It'll be in double action as opposed to single action. So the first set of drills, or the first set of reps, however you want to call it, it's for accuracy. You see up here we have accuracy, speed, and balance. I'm not sure what balance is. I haven't opened it up yet to see what that is. But right now we're going to go draw from conceal for accuracy. So I'm going to tap on that icon right there. All right, we're going to load up the camera. I'm going to allow it to see the camera. It's going to change to back camera because that's what I first programmed. And I'm just going to tap. Now, real quick, enable multiple players. Again, if I did the networking feature, which I told you was for the extra $40, I could have multiple iPads down the row and we could compete against each other. All right, but I don't have that here. So I'm going to tap done. And now I have setup instructions, okay? And it just tells me that right for this drill, it's going to create its own hit zone or its own target, and I have to line it up with my IDPA backing boards, okay? So I tap got it. All right, so there is the zone that it's created. So now I have to orient the iPad so that it's within this hit zone. So I'm going to lower it just a little bit. I'm going to go for the one on the right, so I can still move the hit zone, the target. I can still reshape it. And there you have it, right? Okay, so now over here on the far right, I see that I'm in draw from concealed, okay? Oh, and also it created a backdrop. So let's use the backdrop to our advantage. We can move the backdrop. I'll just put it like that for now. And you know what I'll do? As a matter of fact, let's make the, I want all my shots to be in there, in this area here, okay? And just like before, where I was able to customize my hit zones on my targets when we were in the other mode, even in the challenge mode, when I open the challenges, I can tap on precision edit, and I have the same tools to reshape or resize the target zone that the challenge has created for me. Now, one thing I'm not sure about is this point of aim here. I'm not really clear what that does, but if I research it and find out, I'll definitely let you know, all right? All right, so we're in draw from concealed, you see on the far right, and now we can take a look at the firing instructions. This is telling us what the app expects us to do. So I tap on the firing instructions, and now we get this cool little video with one of the inventors of this system demonstrating what the instructions are telling us to do. Start facing the target, pistol holstered, hands at sides. At the start beat, draw and fire one shot. So, okay. So this is for accuracy. There's no speed involved with this. So let's get into position. Here, as far as I know, I can't set those shoot zones where I can shoot and start it. I have to, and it won't auto restart. So I'm going to tap got it. And we're going to hit start restart. It calibrates.
Ready. Go.
All right. So looking at my score, I am down 117. I believe that number indicates how accurate I am based on the center of the target being the crosshairs. So as you can see, I'm a little high and to the left. So I'll need to improve that score. And I believe that, you see this number 265? That is my high score. I believe that's what that number represents. You can see the number of repetitions that I've gone through already. So I'm going to hit start, restart again and try to beat that score.
Ready.
Just going to take my time with it.
Go.
Get on the sights, get on the target. And there you see, slightly better. I could still do better. But I'm at a 177, green arrow pointing up, which means I'm up. All right, so that's just an example of some of the challenges that they have. I'm going to show you one more. We're going to go back, hitting this icon here. Opens the challenges again. Stoppages. Okay, so we've got these different drills here for reloads or stoppages, these being reloads. And again, accuracy, speed, and balanced. So we want to go for the emergency reload. I can't unlock any of the other ones to begin with because I've never done this drill. So I'm going to tap on this icon here. And it's going to activate the camera. It's going to default to the back camera. All right, let's hit done. Okay, there we are. It still retains our target zone. All right, so let's look at the firing instructions to see what it wants us to do, what the drill is. So this is a reload where it looks like we're in the battle, we're in the fight, and we're just letting the magazine drop and loading another magazine. So for that, I have a magazine holster and a empty magazine, because this is Dryfire, laser Dryfire, ready to go.
Ready.
Okay, I got a 16 that time, and I can see that here's my center and my muzzle moved way up there, which is why it's there, right? Still in center mass, but I'm gonna give it one more shot. So we're gonna get set up again.
Ready.
Okay, 45, all right. I don't know the value of these numbers, honestly, but I see the green arrow, which means I did better than before. Now, be aware that even though I may have shot directly center of the actual target on the wall, this app is basing center on as to where the crosshairs are. So those crosshairs are not dead center, okay? So as far as I'm concerned, I did hit the actual threat, the target, dead center. So just to be aware of that. That's why you want to get these hot zones or these target zones as accurate to the actual target as possible. So up to now, I've been taking single shots, right? So I want to show you another option you can do to create an auto restart situation where you can program how many shots you want to take before it commands you to move on. All right, so if we go back to our shot timer menu, we see auto restart for 5 times, so 5 reps, right? Now, see right here, it says restart when time is reached. Okay, I'm going to tap that, and I'm going to tap good hits detected. And right now I've got it between 2 and 2 good hits, which means I need to get 2 hits on target before I can move forward. I could make that a variable and say between 2, I could make it 1 and 100 hits, I suppose. But for now, just for simplicity, I just want you to see that you can set the number of hits that you have to get before it will call out another target. So let's check this out. We're going to tap here, and I am going to go to shooting. Right, so now we are back on target, right? Okay, so now let's hit start shooting.
Is the shooter ready? Stand by. 1. Is the shooter ready? Stand by. 1. Is the shooter ready? Stand by. 3. Is the shooter ready? Stand by. 1. Is the shooter ready? Stand by. 4.
Okay, and you see that every time I got 2 shots or 2 hits within the target zone, it then asks me again, is the shooter ready? Now, it asked me that while I was still hearing the sound effect of the gunshot. So I assume that if I were to change that sound effect, I could get something a little bit quicker so that it doesn't overlap with the prep command. So just for the heck of it, I selected metal impact to see how that's going to sound. So we're going to check that out.
Is the shooter ready? Stand by. 1. Is the shooter ready? Stand by. 4. Is the shooter ready? Stand by. 3. Is the shooter ready? Stand by. 4. Is the shooter ready? Stand by. 2.
Pretty cool. And, with the sound effect being a lot more sharp and crisp and not having a lot of drop off, I could hear, is the shooter ready, a lot clearer. It wasn't overlapping. So I want to start to wrap up here, but I just want to show you one other application that I plan to use with new students or relatively new students. And I want to show you how effective this can be in doing drills that you probably would not be able to do at your typical gun range, indoor gun range, let's say. So they're going to start off in their workspace right here, and it'll give them the command, the prep command. They'll slam the magazine in, they'll rack the slide. Now, again, with this firearm, I imagine with other firearms as well, typically when I'm loading a magazine and I want to go into battery, I don't have to engage the slide lock. But I guess with this drill, since the gun, we're not using live rounds, empty magazine, they will have to engage the slide lock. But I don't think that's going to throw them off that much, all right? So here's what we're going to do. In the workspace, slam the magazine in, engage the slide lock, punch out. So I'm back in settings, and I'm going to go to my programming menu. I'm going to hit shot timer. I'm going to set this up where, okay, I've got it start delay 3 seconds. That's fine, between 3 seconds. It's just a flat 3 seconds. I got the targets being called out. That's fine. Visual start is fine. I'm not dealing with part-time as of now, but I have auto restart activated. I'm only going to do it, 3 times. I want to have them go through the drill, let's say 3 times, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go time is reached, okay? and I'm going to give them 10 seconds. So times between, and I'm going to set it for 10 and 10. Okay, so now they're going to repeat this drill 3 times. They're going to do 3 reps, and they're going to have 10 seconds in between to get back on target, get the collector thoughts, loading the magazine in, rocking the slide, and getting back on target, okay? So we're going to go back to shooting. All right, so I'm going to hit start shooting.
Is the shooter ready? Stand by.
Not going for speed.
3.
Now I have time to get reset.
Is the shooter ready? Stand by. 2.
Load, lock. Come back, back, drop.
Is the shooter ready? Stand by. 4.
And I think I set it for 3 resets or restarts. I just find this device to be absolutely amazing. Like I said at the beginning, I reviewed another laser targeting app, and I have no complaints about that app. It's wonderful, it's portable, but this one, like I say, I can make anything in the room a target. All I need is an iPad, a stand, and I don't even need to bring IDPA with me. I could take it on vacation because this is a collapsible stand. It'll fit in my luggage. I mean, the other system I could do as well, but it was just limited because it had its own target that you had to shoot. You couldn't make anything. You couldn't customize anything for the most part. Not saying that made it bad, but this just takes it to a whole new level. I can take this outside. I could do drills laying on the ground. I could do drills engaging from a car. I mean, the sky is the limit with this app as far as I can tell. And so I just want to take my hat off to the developers. Oh, and also, the first day I started playing with it, I had some problems understanding how to set certain things up. I called the number. I think they're open from roughly 11 to 5. I don't know. They're out in, I think they're in Lincoln, Nebraska. So they're, what, Central Time? I'm guessing at all that. So I had to wait a little bit to get through to them because I'm out on the East Coast. But the guys answered my questions. They were friendly, personable. I kept calling them back, and I was like, "Listen, I'm sorry to bother you." And they were like, "Dude, there's no bother. Just give us a call if you have any other problems." And the other thing is, I'm so pleased with this software that I can see myself shooting with this many times. So rather than using my actual firearm with a laser insert or laser cartridge, and I could use the blue gun that I had earlier, but it just doesn't have the same feel as an actual firearm. So I ordered a SIRT pistol. I ordered the Glock version of their SIRT pistol. I think it's the 110. It's the one that actually has a metal slide on it with I guess it's a polymer frame. So it's going to give me more of that actual feel. And I think I ordered a second magazine. It comes with one magazine. I ordered a second magazine so I could do those drills where you're dropping the mag in an emergency reload and just slamming another mag in. Okay, so that's all I have right now. I mean, I don't know what more to say. I don't know why anyone would not want to use this or incorporate this into their training or into their instruction. I'm definitely going to start setting up classes using this software. Again, kudos to the developers, to Shooter Technology Group. I think that's the name of the company. But I'm extremely happy with this. $120. I have a lifetime subscription. I think that's a steal. All right. So that's all I have. I hope you enjoyed it. Go out and get one of these and leave comments below. Let me know what you think about it. If you discover some things that I forgot to tell you, or maybe even something I got wrong. There's so many permutations for this thing, so I could have missed something. All right, guys, that's all I've got. Take care. Enjoy.